Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Futurama Season 2, Episode 4 of my show, but this is also, which is also going to be about Episode 4. Now, Episode 4 in the second season of Futurama is known as Fry in the Slurm Factory. But before I start talking about it, I just want to mention two things. One is the fact that, well, actually, there's only one thing I want to mention with this episode. Is the fact that it's sort of like an episode of the series. If you've watched it before, when it was on TV and stuff, it's an episode that's sort of like a parody of the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movies and such and so forth. I just wanted to get that out of the way before I actually started talking about the actual video. That's just the only thing I wanted to mention before I started. Anyway, getting back into it. This is History of Futurama Season 2, Episode 4 of my show. And it's also going to be about Episode 4. And Episode 4 in the second season of the Futurama series is known as Fry in the Slurm Factory. Now, the way this episode starts off first is Fry and Bender are watching TV, and then this ad comes on for the Slurm drink, which is the drink that Fry is drinking, and it's basically has the sort of, I guess you could kind of think of it as the mascot for the Slurm Factory, like Slurms Mackenzie, the original anyone. And basically he says about them, they could win a contest party with him at the Slurm Factory on Planet Formula and just look for the golden bottle cap and they could win. And then one of the women that's with him in the commercial is telling him, it's as a promotion, she finds the actual bottle cap, but they still have to find the actual one in real life in the episode. And then they say that chances of winning are somewhat, and then after that, Fry said that he likes those odds, and then he drinks it, and then when he spits, because he tries to look for the bottle cap, but he's like, rats, another tooth. And then he puts the Slurm can away, and then basically like starts drinking another one, and then he's like, and this is the funny part, when he opens his mouth, there's one tooth missing. Oh my god, I'm sorry, that's just hilarious. Anyway, basically what happens is, so what I'm guessing is the tooth that he had in his mouth previously probably fell into the can when he drank it the first time, and one of his teeth must have fallen into the drink after he finished it while it was empty, and that's when he had to, because that's the only thing that I could see, the only logical explanation as to why he would be missing a tooth. I mean, but anyway, then in the next segment of the episode, basically what happens is Fry and Bender are still Fry's still going through the vials, the cans of Slurm, to look for the golden bottle cap. And then that's when Farnsworth contacts everyone to meet him in another segment of his laboratory so that he could show them his newest invention. And basically his new invention in this episode is what he's called the X-ray. Now, you know what an X-ray sort of is? You know how an X-ray machine is like a picture of a person's skeletal, like the skeletal part of a person's body? Well, basically what the F-ray is, it's basically the flashlight equivalent of an X-ray sort of machine, which is hence the reason why it's called an F-ray, which I get is a little bit of a funny pun. Anyway, but before he starts using it, he tells them that the neutrino beam that it emits is a tad dangerous. So they'll all have to put on protective goggles. So they put the protective goggles on, and then basically what happens is, after that, Farnsworth is putting a gamma radiation suit on. I think it's because he's the one that's using the F-ray, so he stands the most chance of getting exposed to the neutrino beam and the gamma radiation that the F-ray emits. So that's why he had to put the suit on, which is understandable. And after he uses it, he said the rest of the crew members leave except for Fry and Bender, and then Farnsworth tells them that he's got to drop his suit off at the decontamination room to the decontaminators, and he hands them the F-ray to lock it up, and he tells them, he's like, and for the love of God, don't let the F-ray don't let it fall into the wrong hands. And then Fry and Bender start using the F-ray to look at stuff, and then Bender basically uses the F-ray on a robot that he thinks is a fembot. He's like, ooh, look at that hot lady. So he uses the F-ray on the thing that he thinks is a fembot, and he's like, and then Fry's like, what? What is it? Then Bender's like, that's no lady. And then the male robot disguised as a fembot is like, damn, Chica, one more upgrade and I'll be more woman than you can handle. And then Bender says his catchphrase, which is "Bye bye shiny metal ass." And then she said, and then the male robot that disguised as a fembot, that's upgraded to look like a fembot, is saying that you can't handle it, honey. And then basically, after that, what happens is they do this montage where they start looking through other people's through a different cans of Slurm to try to find the golden bottle cap. Oh my god. And the funny thing is, what happens when Bender uses it to look at one of the cans, he takes the can that's from a kid that's drinking it so he could use the F-ray on it to look, and he realizes that the golden bottle cap's not in the can. And then basically what happens is the kid starts to cry, so Bender gives the kid his drink back, so he stops crying, and then Bender leaves. But after he leaves, he uses the F-ray to make the kid's balloon that he's holding pop, which makes him cry again. And then after they can't find it, they return the F-ray to the professor, and then Fry basically said that this invention of his stinks, and then Bender said that they checked through all sorts of Slurm cans. Well, actually, Bender says that the F-ray he invented stinks, and then basically, Fry said they checked thousands of cans of Slurm and couldn't find the golden bottle cap with the F-ray, and then he gets upset that they didn't put the F-ray away, and when he gave it to them, but they brought it back, and then Fry basically goes to drink, because he basically said that he doesn't want to see another can of Slurm again, but he says he wants to get something to drink, so he gets a Slurm, and then he drinks it, and then he starts choking, and when Fry starts choking, they think they should hit him or something to get whatever. I don't know. And then basically, Bender uses the Professor's X-ray on Fry to look into his skin, and that's where they find out that he found the golden bottle cap. And then Bender's like, "You did it, Fry! We found the golden bottle cap! We won!" And then Bender's ecstatic that they won, and Fry is ecstatic as well, but because he swallowed the golden bottle cap, he can't be happy about it. Oh my god. Anyway, basically that's funny. Anyway, after that, basically what happens is they go to the planet Wormulon since they won the contest, and then basically their tour guide for the tour, which is Glurmo, welcomes them to the Slurm factory, and then basically and that's when Bender sees Slurms Mackenzie, and then he gets excited about that and mentions that Slurm's ready to party with them, and then basically Glurmo says that he better be, because that's what they pay him for. And this is the funny part. He said that Slurms has to party all night, every night, or he's fired. But Glurmo basically told them that before they get to the party segment, he has to give them a tour. And basically what happens is he takes them on the tour, and then basically, while they're on the tour, what first happens, this is actually what I mean by this episode being sort of like a Willy Wonka-esque episode, because there's these little orange guys in this episode, you know, like how in the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movies, there were these orange characters called the Oompa Loompas. Well, in both Family Guy and Futurama, both of those series had an episode that had a different variation of them. I just wanted to bring that up, since I'm doing this episode. Now the variation of the Oompa Loompas that's in this episode are called the Grunkalunkas. Oh my god. I'm sorry. Anyway, they're on the tour boat, enjoying the tour, and then basically, after Glurmo explains about the Oompa Loompas squeezing the juices out of the berries to make for the drink, Bender then whispers to him that the berries, those must be the secret ingredient, and then Glurmo says no, but Bender says, is he sure? And then Glurmo says yes to that, and then Bender says that he's just asking because they look kind of secretive, which is kind of true, because in all honesty, if I was in that situation, I would think that the berries were the, if I hadn't watched the series, but anyway, so when I first watched the series, when I first watched it, when it was on TV, I thought the same, I guess mentally, I thought the same thing as well, that the berries did seem kind of secretive. Oh my god, I'm sorry to keep bringing this up, but I'm just bringing up some past segment with my own personal experience from actually watching this episode back when it was on the TV and stuff, and from watching it on Disney Plus and everything. But afterward, Glurmo showed them what they call the Slurm Master, who's actually, first what happens is Leela then realizes that the hideous orange men are going to sing, and then basically the Grunkalunkas start singing a very weird rendition of how the Oompa Loompas did some of their dialogue in the Willy Wonka movies. Well, Willy Wonka and the factory and the chocolate factory and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movies. Except in their case, it's Grunkalunk, Dunkadee-doo. We've got a friendly warning for you. Grunkalunka, Dunkadee-dasis. The secret of Slurm is on a need-to-know basis. Asking questions at school is a good way to learn. If you try that here, you could get your legs broke. We once found a dead guy face down in the... And this is the part that I actually feel is kind of funny in the song. With one of the... In the next portion of the lyric for the song, one of the Grunkalunkas is like, we once found a dead guy face down in the slurm. It could easily happen again to you folk. And then they're saying all together, so keep your head down and keep your mouth shut. Grunkalunka, dunkadee-dunk. But then after they finish singing, Guillermo gets mad at them. He's like, hey, I don't pay you guys to sing. You just used up today's bathroom break. And then one of the Grunkalunkas is calling him all this, but then he said that he heard that. And then basically then they come upon the Slurms master drinking it, and then after Fry sees the Slurm master drinking it, he realizes that he's so thirsty for Slurm, basically. And then after Guillermo tells him that he tasted some more, Fry asks Guillermo if he could have some Slurm now, but then Guillermo tells him that no food or drink is allowed on the tour. He has to wait until they're partying with Slurms Mackenzie in order to drink it, and then basically... That's when basically Fry decides that he can't wait for Slurm anymore. He tries to lean out of the boat to jump into the water to drink the Slurm, the ocean of Slurm and stuff. But then Leela tries to stop him from falling in, and then Leela says that, well, Fry wants Leela to lower him down into the Slurm, but then she says she doesn't want to do it. Then Fry's okay with that because he said that he'll just jump in the Slurm and swim around and drink as much as he wants. But after he gets in the Slurm, he realizes that he can't swim, so Leela has to go into the Slurm water to get him, and then basically, after she does manage to rescue Fry, Bender shows up, and then Leela wonders what Bender's doing there, and Bender said that everyone was doing it, I just wanted to be popular. And in this case, Fry and Leela did it, so in his case, he just wanted to do it to be like them, sort of thing, like it's a minor thing that he wanted to be popular like them, and then basically they get sucked out of the Slurm into where the sewage pipe is, and they end up over this grate, and then basically after that, what happens is Leela gets suspicious, and then she's like, something's rotten on the planet Wormulon. Look at this. And then when she says look at this, she means that there are two doors, and on one door it says fake factory, and the other one says real factory. Now the fake factory one is obvious. It's the one that's that the tour is happening in, and the real one is where they're actually producing it. Basically what happens is, while it goes, then it goes back to where the others are on the tour, and then they're basically in the sort of a gift shop, and then Zoidberg is asking Guillermo if he's like, do you have any that aren't so tight around the thorax? And then Guillermo says that yeah, it's over, but then he realizes that 3 of them are missing, because he's like, wait a minute, weren't there more of you at the start of the tour? And then Leela says that he's right. Then Amy says that he's right. Fry, Leela, and Bender are missing. And then Guillermo takes that as his excuse to find them before they find out the secret. And then basically, Fry then realizes that the Slurm's coming out of those on the conveyor belts. And then basically, Leela says that it's the end of the line. This must be where they produce. And after he drinks it a little, he said that he's not going a few minutes without a Slurm ever again. And then basically, Leela says that it's the end of the line. This must be where they put in the secret ingredient. And then Fry basically says that whatever it is, it's even better fresh. But they open the door and they find out that it comes from where Slurm actually comes from is a colossal worm, Heiny, which is disgusting. And then basically, and when Bender sees that, he's like, oh God. And then Fry gets disgusted by that, but he starts drinking it. But then he was like, Fry! And then he spits it out, but then he starts drinking it again, and she's like, Fry! And then he spits it out again. And then the next scene, what happens is, Fry's like, that's the secret ingredient of Slurm. And then Leela said that's the only ingredient of Slurm. And then the Slurm Queen manages to see them, and then the guards capture them, and then Guillermo shows up and he's like, well, my curious friends, you discovered the secret of Slurm. That concludes the portion of the tour where you stay alive. And then basically what happens is Leela starts fighting Guillermo, but after she hits him once, it causes him to split into two different versions of himself. And then the guards manage to capture Fry, Bender, and Leela, and then basically, after Guillermo manages to capture them with the Slurm guards, what happens is, the Queen is praising Guillermo for doing a good job, and then Leela tells the Slurm Queen how can she trick people into drinking something that comes from her behind. It's sick, but then the Slurm Queen basically says that milk comes from a cow's behind. Honey comes from a bee's behind. Wait, it's milk comes from a cow's behind. Honey comes from a bee's behind. And the last thing is she said that, have you ever tried tainted toothpaste? And then Fry wonders who's behind that comes from. And she says that they don't want to know. And then basically, now two things. The bees one, technically the bee one and the cow one makes sense, but I'm just gonna explain to be a little bit specific about it. Technically, yeah, milk does come from a cow's behind, but it comes from the udders that are underneath the cow, basically. And honey does come from a bee because bees do produce the honey, but they produce it in hives, not in their behinds, basically. And I know it sounded like I made a bee pun there because of that, but I'm sorry, but I kind of had to do that. And then basically, I just wanted to specify some stuff about that because give my own opinion about it. And then basically, Bender says that they just wanted to hurt him with Slurms Mackenzie, and then he wonders when that is, and then the Slurm Queen says never, and then he gets upset about that, and then basically she takes them to what she calls the torture cave. And then basically, what she basically is doing to Bender, she having him put on a conveyor belt, which would turn him into a certain amount of Slurm cans. And then what she's doing with Leela is she's submerging her in some purple Slurm, which she calls Royal Slurm, which in a matter of minutes will turn her into a Slurm queen like herself. But then Guillermo is basically saying,
"But your highness, she's a commoner. Her slurm will taste foul."
but then the Slurm queen is basically saying that, yes, that's why when it works, we'll market it as new Slurm. Then, when everyone hates it, we'll bring back Slurm Classic and make billions. So it's basically they're making a new version of Slurm by turning Leela into a Slurm queen. And basically, business-wise, it makes sense. I'm just getting a little technical here. In this case, it kind of does make sense to make a product that's a new version of something that tastes bad, and then have the original version of the product make a comeback, and you earn a lot of cash, basically, and stuff from doing stuff like that, which makes sense. Anyway, Fry is wondering what's gonna happen to him, and then the Slurm Queen basically says that he's free to go, but she doesn't finish because Fry basically says he's ecstatic that he's being let go by the Slurm Queen, but then she says if he can resist this highly concentrated super slurm, and she says that it's so delicious he'll eat it until he explodes, and then after she secretes it, she leaves them and she's like, farewell! And then before she leaves permanently, she's like, oh, and congratulations again on winning the contest. And then basically, Leela is wanting Fry to save them. And just as, well, first Fry goes to save them, but he starts eating the slurm. And then Leela's like, you pig, stop stuffing your craw and help us. So he basically, what he does is, in order to sort of kill two birds with one stone, in this case, what he does is he brings the vat full of super slurm along with him, while he goes to save the others. But after Leela gets free and Bender gets free, Leela then pours the super slurm, like pushes it off the container into the sewer drain, and then Fry gets upset with that, and then he tries to reach in and he's like, to get after the slurm, and he's like,
I could fit if I didn't have these damn arms.
And then they run, and then basically they manage to get to where the exit is. And then Leela says that they're, well, close to where the exit is, because Leela says that she tells them that they're close to the exit. She knows because she can smell those. She can smell those filthy orange guys, which are the Grunkalunkas in this case. But as they're about to leave, they come upon Slurms Mackenzie, and then basically Slurms is wanting to come with them because he's all partied out, and then basically, Bender says that he's out of luck. Because all Slurms really wants to do is, rent a few movies and watch them with some friends, but then Bender explains that he can't because then it says on that capsule that he has to party with them, and he says that, alright, when he get back to Earth, but keep it small, he doesn't want too many people, and then Bender says that no can do, and I'm sorry if you hear that in the background, that's just my phone. I'm just gonna let it ring for now, and then I'm gonna answer it once I finish recording, but anyway, they start running, and they manage to get away a little bit, but then the Slurm Queen catches up to them, and then basically Slurms has them go on ahead, while he holds her off by the only way he knows how, by partying. And then basically, after they leave, Slurms is telling the two women that are with him that they served him well these last couple of years, but he must party on his own, and they're wondering about what they're being objective about it, like they're disagreeing with him that he doesn't have to do it, and then he's telling them that there will be other parties for you, and he's telling them to go, and then basically what happens is while Slurms is dancing, which is causing a rock slide to fall, Bender is saluting him. He's like, "Party on, Slurms!" And then Slurms is like, "Party on, contest winners, party on!" And then basically what happens is, a lot of the rocks fall on the Slurm Queen, and then so she's unable to get them, and then she's like, "No, we're ruined. They know our disgusting secret." And then she starts sucking on her own Slurm and stuff. And then after they get away, Professor Farnsworth is talking to the commissioner of the drinks and smokes, and he tells them that his crew has made a disturbing discovery, big discovery, and that Slurm is produced in a colossal warm Heine, and then the commissioner is like, "Heine, you say? Well, with this darn evidence, we'll be able to outlaw that Slurm once and for all." But when Fry overhears that, he gets worried, and then he tries to downplay that it was a joke, and said that the professor's his grandpa, and that he's telling crazy stories again, but then Farnsworth says, "I'm not your grandpa, you're my uncle from the year 2000. He does a loopy thing with his finger, and then the commissioner is saying, "Okay, grandpa, we'll take care of the bad worms, don't you worry," which I think he was being sarcastic when he said that. Then after that, Fry opens the Slurm bottle, and he said that Slurms, he just wishes that Slurms was here to enjoy that can with him, and then Bender says that Slurms did like to party, so why don't they party one last time for him? And then basically they do, and then that's basically where this episode stops. So if you guys like this video when I post it, just please give this video the real best you guys can, and I will see you guys next time. And until then, like I always tell you with the series, fun on a bun.